Hello, this is Archie Dunlop with Talking Astrology with Archie on Tuesday, May the 9th, 2023. Happy Victory Day! Yes, it is the anniversary of the defeat of Nazi Germany. And Victory Day is very important in Russia. Now, as far as why Russia celebrates Victory Day on May the 9th, we have to understand that the German surrender took place twice. There was a signing in France, and then there was a signing in Berlin. The Soviets were not happy with the signing in France. I think the representative they had wasn't senior enough. So Berlin was the real one, although it was kind of a formality. And this signing in Berlin took place at 11:01 p.m. on May the 8th. But the reason why Victory Day is celebrated in Russia on May the 9th is because 11:01 p.m. in Berlin is the next day in Russia, because Russia is a couple of hours ahead of Germany. Now, this raises the question: what kind of entity did the Soviet Union and the Allies have their victory over? Well, yes, it was Nazi Germany, but it was an entity which has a horoscope. Hitler came to power on January the 30th, 1945. I think around midday. I've got a time of 11:07. I've read elsewhere, but it was around noon. It was something like that. I'm sure someone knows out there, but I can't be bothered to spend hours searching for it on the internet. So let's look at the chart for Nazi Germany very quickly. There it is. Nazi Germany is an Aquarian, or was an Aquarian organization. January the 30th, Sun was in Aquarius, conjunct Saturn. This reminds us that Aquarius is not just ruled by Saturn, but it is the sign of the state, of, if you like, the jackboot of the state that is trying to get us to do things its way. And, we've had a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction a couple of years ago in Aquarius. Pluto is now in Aquarius. And as I've already warned, this is a time when the state is going to want more and more control over us. Central bank digital currencies, tracking our expenditure, telling us what we can do, telling us what we can't do. The state being desperate to be in control. And so it's kind of not surprising that Nazi Germany has had the Sun in Aquarius. Now, if you look at that chart, I've put in all the hypothetical planets. Remember, the hypothetical planets were developed by German astrologer Alfred Witter during the First World War and afterwards. And a couple of these hypothetical planets are quite interesting. Zeus is exactly opposition Sun. Zeus is the planet of the military equipment, tanks, guns, bombs, cannons, whatever. It's about getting power with the military. And it's also about explosions and gunshots. So there we have it. Sun opposition Zeus, for a state that glorifies war. The Nazis certainly glorified war. It was almost considered to be a better state to be in than to be at peace. And another hypothetical planet, Kronos, was exactly square the Sun, exactly square Zeus. Kronos is about the state. It's about the state cracking down. It's about the full authority of the state. And so when you've got Kronos square Zeus, you might think of, martial law or something like that. And indeed, the moment Hitler came to power, it was a real Zeus-like thing. He acted quickly to seize everything, to make sure that all opposition was stamped out. And it was all perhaps quite impulsive as well. And the moon is in Aries. You need to remember that the moon was in Aries. That is the instinctive reaction. It's taking action. It's not waiting. So remember that, moon in Aries. I'll be coming back to that when I look at the surrender chart for 1945. I should also point out that there is a conjunction between the two hypothetical planets, Hades and Admetos, and both these planets are in their way connected with death. And clearly this was an event, Hitler coming to power, which over the next 12 years signaled a lot of death. And 12 years is important for another reason, because 12 years is the Jupiter cycle. Technically, I think Jupiter takes approximately 11.86 years to go around, but because of around the Sun, because of retrograde motion and so on, it can take longer, it can take shorter. And you will see that Jupiter is at 22 Virgo, and when Hitler came to power, and 12 years later, he lost power. The Allies defeated him, and that's how he lost power. And if we look at the chart for Victory Day, or when Germany officially surrendered, you can see May the 8th, 1945, 11:01 p.m. in Berlin, which of course is May the 9th in Russia. Now, look at the moon. Where is the moon? The moon is at 5 Aries. So, in other words, that defeat was on Nazi Germany's lunar return. And this lunar return, it's pretty close to that Victory Day. I mean, the precise lunar return for Nazi Germany was an hour and a quarter before the surrender. This is a lunar return chart for Nazi Germany. We know when, the precise moment when the moon returned to the exact place it was when Hitler came to power. And you can see there is the moon, and it is conjunct Mars, and it is opposition Neptune, and it is square Saturn. So the moon is in a horrible position. And so I think that this lunar return really shows that it was the end for Nazi Germany. I mean, we knew it was the end anyway, but I think the symbolism is really, really complete. Nothing to argue with there. That also shows that if you're trying to use astrology to make predictions, not just about individuals, but about nations, you can use lunar returns. The lunar return here showed that this was the end for Nazi Germany. So try it with some other country you might be interested in. I don't know, chart of the United States. Look at the United States' lunar returns. Look at, Britain's lunar return. So that might be something that's worth playing with. Oh, by the way, this flag here is the flag, or obviously a replica of the flag that was raised over the Reichstag in 1945 when the Soviets captured the city, and so it's very symbolic of victory, the victory flag. So I will now talk about the stars for today, and you will see that the moon is in Capricorn. Moon is in Capricorn. That means that a lot of us are going to be quite focused on ourselves and our own selfish financial interests. And that is fine. Nothing to apologize about. We all have to look after ourselves, particularly, with moon in Capricorn. And this moon in Capricorn is making a trine with Mercury in Taurus. A very financial trine. So it might be a good time to start talking about money and things that normally we don't like talking about. Now, that doesn't mean to say we're going to get an immediate result, particularly as Mercury is still retrograde. But as they say, we can start the conversation. And over the next week or two, we should see results. Probably when Mercury turns direct. And that's going to be pretty soon. Aside from that, probably the most concerning feature of today's astrology is an exact conjunction between the Sun and Uranus. It's quite explosive. Yes, it's going to be exciting, but it could also be disturbing. So we mustn't do anything dangerous. That Sun conjunct Aquarius in Taurus, it's not a flexible conjunction. It's not like we're going to see movement, it changes as the world changes. No, to begin with, we see nothing. It's all going on deep down. Everything seems quiet. And all the while the pressure is building, and then suddenly it all explodes. So just be careful. Don't annoy people. You know how it is when you annoy someone. You say something and then you say something else, and you just keep going, and you're insensitive. You don't really know how much damage you're causing, and suddenly they explode. So be careful. At the same time, the Aries point is on the Mars-Saturn midpoint. Indeed, Aries is also on the Aries is aspecting the hypothetical planet Poseidon, and that is all there. Both of those are aspecting the Mars-Saturn midpoint. So that could be about delay. Things we're doing suddenly get interrupted. The world seems interrupted when we look at what's going on with politics and markets, whatever. It may feel that there's a certain disruption there. And at worst, of course, Mars-Saturn is a death pair. So, we do have to be careful. Just don't do anything dangerous. Don't play with chainsaws, guns, explosives, whatever. Just be careful, and things should be okay. As far as the 12 signs are concerned, here are my forecasts. Aries, 5 stars. You're starting to get attention for all the right reasons. It's okay to be selfish. Taurus, 4 stars. Reach out to new horizons, and you'll find that other people are favourably impressed. Perhaps you're just the person to make things happen. Gemini, 3 stars. What seems to be complicated can also be stimulating, but the less said, the better. Cancer, 4 stars. Let everyone have their say, and in the process, you might learn something important. Leo, 3 stars. Something happens out of the blue. Whether it's good or bad rather depends on your response, and that is because the Sun, ruler of Leo, is conjunct Uranus. Virgo, 4 stars. You've seen it hundreds of times before, and now it looks completely different. Libra, 4 stars. You can organize things from far away. Conserve your energy. Scorpio, 3 stars. Don't take anyone for granted and prepare for the unexpected. Sagittarius, 4 stars. A serious talk about money can be beneficial for everyone. Capricorn, 5 stars. You know which way the world is spinning, and your creative suggestions demonstrate your true value. Aquarius, 2 stars. At home, you play it cool and don't take risks. Partners are impulsive. And finally, Pisces, 3 stars. Now is probably the time to say it. A mischance can bring weeks of regret. I will now turn to the I Ching. So, as usual, I threw the 3 coins in the air, and the first hexagram I got was hexagram number 42, which is increase. And that's a good hexagram. That means that we're getting more of something, perhaps more money. So yeah, that's great. So if we see an opportunity to make more money, now's a chance to do it. And with Moon in Capricorn, yeah, we're probably going to want to take that opportunity. But it's important not to think just about the money. We have to think about the future. We have to think about the relationships and contacts that we're trying to develop. And we can create a situation where we don't just increase ourselves, but where we increase other people. And in fact, the best way of using the energies represented by this hexagram might be through acts of generosity. You know, a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. We know we might need to spend a bit of money to be kind. Some act of generosity, a gift, buying someone a meal or a drink or something like that. But we will be rewarded, and it will be a great investment. And this hexagram of increase, it moves to 27, which is a mouth, and that might further hint at perhaps going for a meal in a restaurant, perhaps. In which case, we should probably be the ones paying the bill. We might not want to pay the bill with Moon in Capricorn, but it might be the right thing to do. Also with the mouth, and on a slightly different theme, we need to always look carefully at what nourishes people, what they want to eat. I don't mean that literally. I'm talking about in general in life. Ask yourself, what is nourishing that person? What is that person looking for? Because once you know what nourishes a person, you know whether or not they can be trusted. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say for today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.